Oh, hello. I didn't see you come in. How did you do that? Oh, me? Yeah, I was just going through this ancient leather-bound tome of forbidden knowledge that I stole from a magician's house. It's some pretty powerful stuff. Wow, those puffins sure are up to no good. But you know, at the end of the day, the only thing that really matters is having a big heart. Okay, be sure to slap that thumb button and click the bell on the bell so that you don't miss my 4th upload today. Reaction videos are pretty inescapable these days, but they're far from being a new thing. In fact, their origins can be traced back to a TV series that's been running on and off since the 80s called Mystery Science Theater 3000, or MST3K. The show's whole shtick is commentating on crappy B-movies, opening with little sketches to set up the episode. And if that sounds familiar, that's because there have been countless attempts to replicate the formula on YouTube with varying degrees of success. The real secret sauce of MST3K is that they actually get to broadcast the movie in its entirety because they purchase the distribution rights, usually for dirt cheap, of all the movies they're riffing on. Think of it like a director's commentary, but instead of telling you how it was made, my spine! They're dunking on it the entire time. I'm a big fan of terrible movies, and watching them with my family has always been a favorite tradition of mine, which is how I found Christmas Thieves. It was produced by WWPS, which I haven't been able to find what that stands for, but according to their website, with WWPS, international producers have an edge when shooting in the USA and other foreign territories. We specialize in a wide range of production services that optimizes your spend and location needs. I was looking at their About Us page, and 3 of the founders are entrepreneurs with business degrees, real estate portfolios, a private health clinic, but the one that really caught my attention was head of music, David Tickle. I'm struggling to come up with a joke here. I just wanted to acknowledge that his name is David Tickle. This isn't your average low-budget movie. Christmas Thieves was optimized by an international team of business experts to be as cost-effective as possible. Maybe WWPS stands for We Will Produce Shit. Shimmering moonlight fills this opening establishing shot, which would ordinarily come from the sky, where the moon is, but maybe that was out of their budget. We see 2 men, inexplicably dressed as Santa and an elf, for reasons that will never be explained, as they commit some sort of thievery. Perhaps Christmas thievery.
Let's make some things disappear for the magician's house.
Did you hear that? They're burglarizing a magician's house. Meanwhile, in a different location that confusingly doesn't get an establishing shot, the kids run into the kitchen as the mom opens the fridge, who looks directly at them, addresses them both as
turkey check, stuffing check,
and then she closes the fridge after never looking inside it. Bonus points, the fridge makes a creaking wooden door sound.
So what am I forgetting?
Now, this feels like a hypothetical that the kids were supposed to know the answer to, because she's looking at them, but their response is,
What's for dinner tonight?
She looked them both right in the eyes, individually saying turkey and stuffing, and they still had to ask what was for dinner. So either these lines were delivered out of order and the director didn't feel the need to, provide direction, or their names are turkey and stuffing. And then it just cuts to opening credits. It's almost kind of surreal feeling because this movie is nearly competent. I'm going to get admittedly very nitpicky for a sec here, but even the credits are just off. This is pretty decent animation, but Tom Arnold doesn't voice either of these characters. Michael Madsen doesn't voice this one. The title card uses the same font and font size as the credits, so it just kind of blends in. Are these actors? Producers, and some other people? I'm sure they do something. Then, from costume designer onwards, everybody's name is attached to an actual credit, such as delegate producer. Then we've got 2 executive producers, followed by 2 more executive producers. And then this one just says, produced by. Your guess is as good as mine what these 5 other producers are doing, because Ricardo is the one who produced by. Then just hard cut back to stuffing and turkey. You see what I mean? These are the sorts of decisions you'd see being made in an amateur, no-budget production, but this is obviously being put together with some actual funding. It's like the uncanny valley of movies where the closer it gets to competence, the more obvious it is that they aren't there yet. Hey, why did you bring up MST3K? I'm gonna get to it, just give me a minute. Okay, I can be patient. Back at the magician's house, Dumpty and Humpty argue over whether or not to put this mysterious, glowing, antique book in the bag.
It's an antique.
The elf-shaped one does a spot-on Macho Man Randy Savage impression.
You want it so bad, then put it in the bag.
When the home security system finally decides to go off after a frankly irresponsible length of time. Back at definitely not the same house, but with the lights turned on, Mom gets an important phone call.
Hello? The magician's house? You're kidding me, right? Do you know what day it is?
Did you hear that? There was a burglary at the magician's house. Using this phone call as a context clue, we can assume that the mom is a police officer.
You don't call a babysitter on Christmas Eve? Mom, for sure that's a cold-blooded killer. Do you find a dozen pieces in the fridge?
It really feels like one of the ways WWPS optimized the spend of this production was with no retakes ever.
That's right, Mom. Tuna finest piece in the fridge.
Look, kids are kids. Their line delivery is only going to be as good as the coaching they get from a director. But as far as I can tell, the phrase, "Hey, can we take that one again?" was never uttered a single time on this set.
Don't you dare call me with your usually baloney stories.
I wonder if perhaps he will call her later with a usually baloney story. This movie is really good at foreshadowing. Mom calls a babysitting service who couldn't book any of the regulars on Christmas Eve, so they're sending a new one.
No! A new one, no!
Turkey tries to convince Mom that it's just a prank and that nobody steals on Christmas Eve.
Wrong. Once a thief, always a thief.
I wonder if her rigid stance on criminality will be challenged by the end of the evening. This movie is really good at foreshadowing. Before she heads out, she reminds Turkey to use the door jammer.
Use the door jammer.
Twice.
Use the door jammer.
All right, Ma.
Don't forget.
I won't forget.
He forgot literally immediately. This movie is really good at Meanwhile, we return to Goober and Doober, who are casually meandering their way to this totally random, unrelated house as they try to evade the police, who are just there, standing there, looking directly at them, not doing anything. Subverting everybody's expectations, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac burst through the front door, making about as much noise as they could have possibly made opening an unlocked door. Then Cop Mom just kind of walks away like nothing happened.
Must have been the wind.
Also, I'm just saying, but this seems like a disproportionate response to an alarm going off at a house. Did they really need to take a mother away from her kids on Christmas Eve? There are 2 officers right there. Just send them. Anyway, after stumbling and shouting their way into the house, Bozo and Bozinga convince Turkey and Stuffing that they're the babysitters who are definitely supposed to be there and want nothing more than to send the kids to bed so they can commit burglary and escape or whatever.
Let's read this.
Ah, yes, a giant leather-bound tome of forbidden knowledge. Very appealing to your average... Hang on, how old is she supposed to be? 4? And Turkey is supposed to be 8?
Read. Read.
Let's watch the... Holy moly! Okay.
So they crack open the giant leather-bound tome of forbidden knowledge that they stole from the magician's house, and it's a picture book. This surprises nobody, and they continue by introducing some characters with some really good editing.
What a cutie. That Jade the Fox is. Bodies.
That's just how it is in the actual movie. What a cutie! That Jade the Fox is. Birdies!
They're moving. Yes, like an iPod.
Sorry, like a what?
Yes, like an iPod.
This movie came out in 2021. He has a smartphone in his hand. He probably just misspoke and meant to say iPad, but you know the number 1 rule of Christmas thieves.
No retakes.
We can keep that. From this point forward, Christmas thieves will occasionally flip a switch and become Mystery Science Theater 3000, but with kids, and Tom Arnold, and nobody's allowed to be funny. For about 30% of the movie, we're just watching clips from a completely unrelated cartoon in a book that moves like an iPod. But Elfman over here, he doesn't like the book.
No, I don't like the book.
He's the bad one. He says mean things.
I bet you're drawing that stupid fox again, aren't you?
The obvious explanation for why this even got made in the first place is that WWPS owns the rights to Arctic Friends, an animated series of shorts that, honestly, they're not bad. But the thing I find so confusing is that Arctic Friends has no dialogue. MST3K was very picky about which movies they would license because it not only had to be bad, it had to serve as a springboard for jokes. If they can't find a way to make the movie funny, they're not going to use it. We've got a credit for story and 3 separate credits for screenplay. I feel like one of them could have written some sort of narration, and then Tom Arnold, who I legitimately think would be a great narrator for a children's book, could have read the children's book, but instead the book is an iPad and all 3 of them are iPad babies. As the movie continues, after they read more of the book, Hawk and Tua will discuss their escape plan, then they go right back to reading. Mario slowly warms up to the kids while Green Mario wants to take Turkey's phone so they can leave without getting ratted out. Now, you might be thinking, what about the actual babysitter that the mom actually called? What happens if they showed up? Would you think that potentially some hijinks or perhaps shenanigans would ensue? Well, that would make sense, now wouldn't it? A knock on the door. Who could it be?
I'm the babysitter.
Why, it's Discount Mary Poppins. But instead of being nice, she's actually really mean. And when Cole and Stocking explain that, no, we got it covered, she demands immediate payment from them, the people she assumes are babysitters. And the accent slips like every other sentence.
Santa, you pay me now.
Right now.
I'd love to, but we don't have any. Holy moly!
After solving the babysitter problem, Beavis and Butthead go to the kitchen to get a snack. While Ornstein is raw dogging a raw dog, Smo finds a picture of some guy on the fridge. Who could this be? This movie is really good at foreshadowing. Through the rest of the movie, the cycle repeats. They reveal some plot, then they look at the book. Elphaba tries to steal the phone, then more book. They do a thing.
Let me sing a lullaby. The bars are all closed.
Book.
I hate wigs.
Have you worn wigs?
I wore one at Columbus for a Halloween.
Will you wear wigs?
I'll never wear another one.
When will you wear wigs?
In exactly 39 seconds, the babysitter knocks on the door again, this time with reinforcements. So he disguises himself to run upstairs to the balcony and... I don't know, man. What are we even doing here?
What are you doing back here?
First Santa, now woman.
I'm a woman!
You know, I had a few different jokes written for this part, but I'm just gonna not.
Cop!
Mrs. Claus yells at a cop who chases after the babysitter like a dog chasing a ball, and with that problem solved, everybody decides they're hungry, so Simon and Garfunkel head to the kitchen to discuss dinner plans.
We're not eating frozen pizza on Christmas Eve. No, I'm gonna cook.
While he's busy doing that, Stuffing tells Elf on the Shelfon that it's his turn to read now.
Now you read.
Out of the question.
So then, when he reads them the book, now he starts feeling more warmed up. The kids too.
I am kind of grumpy sometimes, I guess. But you kids make me happy.
When Christmas dinner is ready, he goes, "Nah, I'm good. I'm gonna be over here pondering about stuff. Perhaps I'm becoming a good guy or something. Oh yeah!" While Turkey and Stuffing are having dinner with Uncle Santa, they explain to him how sometimes Mom doesn't get to cook stuff because of Cop, and they eat a lot of frozen dinner because Dad's on an oil rig. So this is the best Christmas dinner they ever had. And he's like, "Wow, me too. Sigh." So Scooby heads out of the kitchen to tell Doobie, "Hey man, we gotta take care of the kids on Christmas. We can't leave them." But then Waluigi says, "Hey, there's cops outside. Like right now." And then he just doesn't care at all. Meanwhile, back in the kitchen, Turkey turns on the TV and immediately sees the 2 bad boys. So he texts Mom, who replies, "And maybe you'll remember the foreshadowing from the movie. Hey, you're doing this usually baloney story again." "No, it's true this time." "Nuh-uh." Then, when Crinkle reunites with Tinkle over here, entirely ignoring the cops outside, they read more of the book with Stuffing, but not Turkey, because he's suspicious of them. George Santa Claus stops rooting for the bad guys and starts rooting for the good guys. It's almost like the time he spent with these kiddos has really changed his heart.
I guess I changed my mind. Or my heart.
Then Stadlorf and Walter start crying because of feelings, and they're really good at acting. But dun dun dun, Turkey takes a picture of them and yells at Stuffing to go to the panic room. Oh yeah, they have a panic room, by the way. They set that up at the beginning of the movie. It was foreshadowing and stuff. During this tense chase sequence, the beginning of the climax of the movie, they went with quite possibly the most inappropriate choice of music. which continues while Stumple and Fumple fall down the stairs, where they break their necks and die immediately. Meanwhile, Turkey and Stuffing, as they head inside the panic room, seem to very intentionally place the phone right outside of the panic room. Just gently sets it on the pillow. Unfortunately, Stinky and Pinky recovered from their injuries, so they continue the chase into the disco room. Why? What are these lights? What is this room? He grabs the phone or something. I don't care. What are these lights for? Have they been on this entire time? Anyway, Stuffing starts banging on the door to be let out of the panic room, which appears to be a large safe. Apparently they can lock it from the inside, but they can't unlock it without the code, which they don't know. Then Grunkle Stunkle, the good one, takes this as an opportunity to get the heck out of there. But Elf 2003 starring Will Ferrell decides that, no, I am good guy now. My heart has changed. I will stay here.
I'm staying here. I'm not gonna leave him here without Peter either. Their father, your brother.
Yup. He looked at this picture and decided, based entirely on their appearance, that these two guys were brothers, despite being at least 20 years apart in age. Okay. So Santa Guy Funny Name tells the story of how he asked his brother to give him a ride to the bank, which he then robbed, and by the time he got out, his brother was gone, because he went to go get a pack of gum.
I don't think he abandoned you. He just went to buy a damn pack of gum. Now, he's at an oil rig, and those poor kids are on their own.
Haha, okay, I be good guy now. So he goes upstairs and uses a stethoscope to pick a digital lock with a keypad. Meanwhile, the cops caught the actual babysitters, who give the most juvenile explanation for what happened.
Santa and the elves started it. I want to babysit. They told me to go away. Santa was very rude.
Wait, is she trying to mask her English accent with an American one, or vice versa? I genuinely can't tell. Cop Mom has the revelation that Turkey was telling the truth, so she goes back to the house by herself for some reason and says,
Murphy and O'Donnell, hands up!
She says something. Trump and Elon explain that they were just being good babysitters, and after they committed that robbery, she's cool with it.
What am I supposed to do now?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I'm supposed to arrest you. Once a thief, always a thief.
No.
Ha ha ha. Foreshadowing. Am I right, fellas? Turns out the bag of stolen goods was actually a bag full of bubble wrap. No, that wasn't just because the prop master needed a way to make the bag look full. It's because they got the two bags mixed up. So because of their general incompetence, they didn't actually steal anything, it turns out. You know, except for the big... So they spit on each other's faces. Cop Mom radios the squadron and says, "Hey guys, just kidding." Then Goofus and Gallant are off the hook. Oh, okay, Dad came home from oil rig, and he brought presents. So I guess he was actually pretty close. So it all worked out in the end. Criminals don't have to deal with consequences, Mom gets away with negligence, and Dad spends money to fix everything. The two brothers make up, the kids open presents, and now everybody, as one big family and an accomplice, gather around the magic book. But this time, when they open it, this happens. The characters are real now. Even the bad one, he's here also. Swifty does a cool flip, then immediately dies. Mom sets down the book, right here, pay attention to that. Then the kids go over to the tree and discover a different book. It's definitely not the same one, but at a different location. Okay, I know, that's exactly what it is.
Yes. In the end, all stories
who are
worth
you?
their salt reach an end.
What?
No, shut up, where were you this entire movie?
Merry Christmas to all of you. And I'll be seeing you for the next stories real soon.
Next stories? Don't tell me there's a sequel to this piece of Shortly after I finished writing the script, I discovered that yes, there is a sequel to this called The Good Witch of Christmas, with all the same characters minus one. Just like last year, the parents couldn't find a babysitter on Christmas Eve, so they shuttle their kids off to recently exonerated Uncle Frank's criminal hideout. Yeah, his name is Frank. I'm out of funny names. I'm sorry. I was fully expecting this video to be over by now. Cut me some slack.
I can't wait till Santa Claus brings my gift. You nailed my letter, didn't you, Daddy?
Of course, sweetie. Of course.
More foreshadowing. He did not.
Hi, Uncle Frank!
Hello, kiddos. I'd like to introduce you to Tony.
But wait, who's this? Is that Alec Baldwin? No, stupid, it's William Baldwin, his much more affordable brother, who the kids just run in and immediately hug, despite having never met him.
Good to see you. Look what I bought.
Where? How? You were not carrying that giant thing in any of the other shots. Okay, whatever. Frank is trying to convince Tony to be less of a criminal, who always responds with the most comically over-the-top, "Hey, I'm a good criminal. That's why I didn't go to jail. Hey, my name's Tony. I got a gold necklace."
Would it be okay to look after Liam and Olivia just for a couple hours? We need to run out and do some last-minute Christmas shopping.
So this wasn't established in advance. They showed up to ask if they could babysit after sundown on Christmas Eve. These parents suck. Once again, we get similarly disjointed credits, but this time with only 2 executive producers and 2 different produced by, whatever that means. On the drive, Mom yells at Dad for losing Stuffing's letter to Santa, which they were going to use to buy her gift.
Just like you lost my police badge.
Hey, why did you give that to him?
I feel like I can't ever trust you.
Then why did you give that to him? Okay, so of all the things they could have hit with their car on Christmas Eve, what do you think the most cliche possible Yep, it was Santa.
Dasher, Prancer, Vixen, Vixen, where the blazes are you? A one-horse open sleigh.
So he calls for backup, but the only person available is presumably some kind of idiot. I'm sure that'll come up later in the movie.
It's an unmitigated disaster.
It is now later in the movie. Santa's help slams into the door of Frank and Tony's hideout, immediately passing out in Frank's arms. Tony reminds you that he is in fact Italian.
What are you doing? Come on.
And Stuffing immediately assumes
She must be one of Santa's elves.
Elf, get real.
Turkey acts like he's too mature and intelligent to believe in Santa this entire movie, despite the magic book that last year brought fictional characters to life. But guess what? She actually is an elf. What a twist.
Little help? Okay, I'll give you a little help. Here we go.
Right this way, ma'am.
If you kick her out, I'm gonna scream.
So they decide to take her in and figure out what her deal is. Meanwhile, back in the B story.
Can't you see all the presents I have to deliver?
Yeah, like maybe a couple dozen.
Rudolph, I knew you wouldn't abandon me.
Okay, so clearly they could only afford 1 reindeer, but why did they decide it was the only reindeer with a recognizable feature and then not give it to him? This movie is really good. Back at the hideout, Stuffing keeps insisting that
She's an elf.
despite the casting and costuming decisions to the contrary. Tony keeps trying to kick her out of the house even though she's suffering from memory loss.
Would you throw a woman out of the street with memory loss?
He asks the man who, very literally, just now, tried to throw a woman out on the street with memory loss. So they decide to pull up the stupid book to see if maybe it can do some kind of magic to explain who she is and where she came from.
The stories always change. It's a very special book.
I don't believe it.
Tony is the bad one in this movie. So they open it up, and wouldn't you believe it, a bunch of random clips from a cartoon called Puffins, a spin-off of Arctic Friends with less characters, so it's easier to animate. I mean, cheaper. I mean, more efficient for the rigging pipeline.
Diddy, her hair ties are so cute.
Pie, super duper powerful pie.
Tick and tack. Or tick-tock. Like a ticking bomb.
Oh my... Shut up, Tony! From here on, it's just more of the same. The A story is them reading the book, and the B story is the parents bickering on the side of the road next to Santa, whose powers stopped working for plot reasons, not budget reasons.
I guess I lost my power with the crash.
Kids read more story. We get more nothing burger commentary.
The blueberries must have been poisonous.
No such thing as poisonous blueberries.
Then a little piece of information about Elf Lady is revealed.
Go fetch.
No! Goodbye, Balloon.
How did you do that?
I don't know.
After watching a bunch of clips in the book, one of the Puffins comes out of the book and shows Turkey that the answer was actually in the book this whole time. Book.
That means that the letters themselves are the clues.
What a revelation. Nobody could have ever seen this coming. When she finally jogs her memory, she dons a pair of aviator goggles and blasts off into space. Back with the parents, Mom breaks down into tears after finding her missing badge. It was in the car somewhere, but this scene really makes it look like it was just in her purse. So Dad didn't lose it after all. So, what lesson did we learn today, kids?
Women are always wrong.
What? No, what? How is that your takeaway? So they teleport everybody back to Frank's hideout. The kids meet Santa, who stops caring about the fact that he's in a hurry. And I completely glossed over the romance subplot between Frank and the elf.
Listen, I was worried. Maybe you and I could...
I'll gladly accept.
Well, that was a straight-up proposition. She and Santa blast off into space, then the characters start doing this.
Merry Christmas, everyone! Merry Christmas, everyone!
Okay, I've got a few questions here. Movies generally don't get sequels unless the first one does well enough. So, first question, who watched Christmas Thieves? At the time of writing, it's currently free on YouTube Movies. There's a re-upload of it on the production house's YouTube channel, which is also free. It has a total of 11 reviews on Amazon Prime for free. You can't buy it on Blu-ray, and as far as I can tell, it was never in theaters in the US. IMDb estimates that the budget was 6 million euros with a worldwide gross of 6,000. The Good Witch of Christmas doesn't even have an estimated budget, but the production quality was at least a tiny bit higher. Coincidentally, it also has 11 reviews on Amazon Prime, except I had to buy this movie, which you shouldn't do. Here's where it gets even more confusing. There is a third movie called Billy's Magic World with Stuffing, William Baldwin, the cartoon puffin things, and Alec Baldwin. Mind you, this was shot after the shot. IMDb says it came out in 2023 and is rated 8.8 out of 10 with over 400 ratings, even though it appears to be impossible to watch. If you read any of the 3 reviews, they were very obviously written by ChatGPT. The trailers for this movie are all dubbed over in Italian, even though it was shot in English.
Non fare tardi come al solito.
Alle 3 in punto mi troverai qui.
I found one piece of English press coverage for this movie, and it has less than 1,000 views. I'm not saying this is a money laundering scheme. Legally. I am legally not alleging that because I don't have any evidence. But hypothetically speaking, I wouldn't be surprised if any of the 4 business leaders of WWPS-TV engaged in a series of unscrupulous business deals that resulted in unrecorded cash revenue that required them to account for the movement of millions of euros across international tax jurisdictions, so they made a series of incredibly cheap movies in as short of a time frame as possible, then reported substantially higher budgets to the respective nation's tax collection agencies so that in an audit the location of all the reported funds could be accounted for. Again, I'm not saying that's what's happening here.
Wow, is this guy ever gonna shut up? Merry Christmas, everybody.
What just...
Hello?